Hey everybody, what's up, Michael? How you doing?
I'm great, Gabe. How you doing tonight?
Good, good, good. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Collection Wars.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for your Saturday night once
Yeah,
again. Yeah.
and I first and foremost, I want to announce the show, kind of how Far From Death Star said. Live from Jabba's palace, it's Saturday night. Max Rebo Band featuring Tom Spina and your hosts, Gabe and Michael.
That was
That's
really good.
awesome. But yeah, all our buddies are in here. What's up, Janine?
Yep.
How you doing? Star Wars Addict, what's up? Again, Far From This. Thank you for that lovely intro. Armando, what's up? Sean, what's up, Sean? The other Sean, what up, Sean? Eben, Chris, Jeff, what's up? Scott, the other Sean. Man, we're gonna have to like
I
categorize
know.
the Seans, right?
Yep.
Nilda, what's up, Nilda? How you doing? Pete, Big Cat Pete, what's up?
Yes.
And people are gonna be trickling along.
Yep. Janine. What's up, Janine?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Janine, yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
We're we David, what's up, David? We got Addison, we got Mr. Marcel. Um, yeah, it's gonna be a great show today. As you guys
Yeah.
saw, we have Tom Spina from Tom Spina Designs and Regal Robot joining us today. We're gonna be talking celebration and 2 weeks less, right? No, about 2 weeks.
Yeah. We're everybody's in preparation.
Man, I mean, it's exciting. I think
It is.
everyone's starting to pack up and get ready, and man, I just can't wait to see everyone in person and kind of meet everyone. And
For
man,
sure.
so um, I think without further ado, I think let's bring on Tom.
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right, guys. So here we go. Tom, what's up, Tom?
Hello, everybody. How's everyone doing tonight? How are you guys feeling?
What's up, Tom?
Great.
How are you, Michael?
I'm good, buddy. God, it's been, pretty soon we're going to get to, last time I got to see you in person was at Chicago when I was getting
I know.
Chewy.
That
Man.
it feels like it's either like
Jeez.
5 minutes ago or like 10 years ago.
Exactly.
Right?
There's
I
just
feel you
no in between.
1,000%.
There's,
I feel you.
it's, yeah, it really does. That show feels like it was both yesterday and forever ago.
For sure.
The cool thing is, I feel like certainly you guys with the podcast and a few of the other ones, as a community, I feel like the collector group that especially the group that's like into the kind of higher end stuff that we do, has really grown over the last few years.
Yeah,
And there's
no
a
doubt.
lot of folks I'm looking forward to seeing at the show that, we didn't even know in 2019. And maybe they were there, or maybe that was the first time they bought from us, and now they're like friends, It's going to be really cool seeing everybody.
Yeah, that's actually we've discussed that, how kind of the landscape of these high end collectibles kind of changed during that shutdown, right? Because
very much
all
so.
this, there was a huge explosion in these things. So
Yeah.
it's exciting.
It is. And if it's we're recording this late on a Saturday night here. If I appear completely drained and lifeless to anyone, it's just because we have been so freaking busy at the shop the last couple of months prepping for this show.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe it's only a week and a half away. Like it feels like we've been working at this for so long. And boy, yeah, the literal tons of stuff that we shipped to the show for our booth. It's going to be a really interesting show for us. And I have a feeling just by the time we get everything set up, people are going to walk in Thursday morning all excited and ready for the show, and we're already going to be falling asleep, at the
I know, right? You guys just getting everything set up.
I think like the most peace we're going to have is the flight over. It's like we physically won't be able to do anything, but we'll have to relax. So that'll be cool.
Exactly. So Tom, let's address this elephant in the room, or should we say your room? Because yeah, I mean, I'm sure people have some just general questions of what's behind you. Can you just kind of just really quick go through it?
Elephant in the room.
What do you mean behind me? What are you talking about?
Man, look at.
I did another broadcast a couple of nights ago, and I recorded facing the other way. But that time I have like a little tripod we use at work, we did a live broadcast this week, and I accidentally left it at work. So like right now, literally like masking tape, and I've got a chair with a Tupperware filled with 1980 and 1983 Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi Topps cards. And on top of that is a Stretch Armstrong doll that my sister got me a few years ago as a gag gift.
That's so cool.
And because he's kind of, that silicone kind of, he kind of grabs. So I got the phone taped to Stretch Armstrong with masking tape right now. But I figured, let's turn it around. Let's view a different part of the collection. Last time they got to see the Cantina booth and all the replica stuff and some of the stuff we made for commercials. The stuff behind me this time is some of my screen use stuff from the movies. I've been really lucky to have met a lot of guys that worked on the movies over the years and hear all their stories and get to know them and then bring home a few pieces in the process over the years. Some of this stuff I've had about 20 years now, and kind of everywhere in between. But I'll kind of scooch out of the way a little bit. There, for me, the Cantina scene is like the biggest thing in the world. I had a huge collection of replica stuff for years, and eventually, sold off some of it to get some of the first screen use pieces I got. This is, we're talking in the 90s and early 2000s. And I lucked out, I was in the, I'm trying to give them a look at the other side.
Yeah.
I got into screen use props before it really exploded, before it priced everyone out. And so I was able to kind of, I got in just when replica stuff was exploding in value and screen use stuff was just starting to creep up. So, if you had a really good set of replica stuff, you had really unique pieces, which I had at the time, you could kind of trade up pretty good. And then eventually the smaller screen use pieces I pooled a bunch of those together and I traded those up for some bigger pieces. And it was really, it's just that slow build. It's the way it is with every collection, You start really broad and then you start to focus on the stuff that really moves you. And, for me, I never thought I'd have the chance to have, never mind screen use, even just replicas of some of the Cantina stuff. That's why I started making things, it's like, no one's ever going to make the Hair Mouse or, the Nimbinel, the Mosep alien or anything like that, or Terminal Man. So I was like, I'm going to just have to make them myself. And then, to have the chance later to meet some of the folks who worked on the movies and to be able to bring in some of the original pieces from the film, that blows my mind that it's even possible. I look at my collection every day and I'm like, why is this here? Is this an accident? Did someone accidentally leave this? This shouldn't be here,
That's insane. So everything back there it's from the film, like it's from the film.
Yeah, like all the stuff, all the kind of individual case stuff. It's all original, worn in the movies. There's stuff on the wall. Some of them are just photos that go with the pieces to kind of give them some context. There's some sketches. I don't think they show up very well, but over the given are actually some of John Berg's sketches for Hammerhead. And not much exists on Hammerhead, so it's really cool to have those. There's Walrus Man's Blaster is up there. That's what I was going to ask.
That's later. Badass.
What's cool on that is it actually matches the serial number to some of the old behind the scenes photos. Like there's a close up of it where you can read the serial number. And then a couple of Stuart Freeborn masks, Peregrino hands. There's a Snaggletooth costume a little further down the line that you can't see, but.
Tom, I know you've showed these a few times, this collection on certain channels, and I know that you have connections with people that can do revitalize or make these things good again. You know the right people. And,
I am the right people.
I was being funny. I know that. So, but real quick question before we jump into celebration stuff.
Yeah.
Is it very difficult? To keep this stuff from deteriorating where you're at? I mean,
it depends.
They're 45, 47 years old now?
Yeah. It depends a lot on the piece and how it's made. we deal with, so at Tom Spina Designs, one of our key things is conserving original film props. We've done it for the Lucasfilm archives, for the Henson archives, for museums, for Prop Store, for, you know, private collectors all over the world, some of the biggest around. And that's been sort of a mission of mine for 20 years now, like coming up with new ways of revitalizing this stuff, and more so than even revitalizing, just preserving it. So a lot of this stuff, you know, behind us, I was lucky that it was in good shape when we got it. And I know how to care for it. I know what kind of support it needs. And I think that's the main thing, is every one of these was put on, especially the slip latex pieces. So like the band guide and Given, the Duros, were put on conservation forms that are made to fit the piece on the inside, that support it and really help keep gravity at bay, that support the bib, so the bib isn't pulling down on the neck and stressing the face and all of that stuff. And that's the main thing you have to worry about. You know, get the piece supported, get it in the position you want, because over time it's just going to get less flexible. And then it's just about, you know, are there any tears that you need to reinforce? Are there, you know, things like that. The Duros had a few of those. Some of his creases, you know, when you slip cast rubber, the high points in the mold are the low points of the sculpt. And so when you rotocast this with the latex in it and you pour the latex out, a lot of times the high points wind up being, you know, so the deepest wrinkles wind up being some of the thinnest areas of rubber on the mask. And so a lot of times those will either start to crack, or you'll see, you know, some separating happening. And so that's an area where our crew looks at it and immediately knows, like, okay, that's going to need reinforcing. So we go over behind things like that with fabric patches and with reinforcement, so that, again, we're preserving this piece. We're keeping everything in the place you want it to be, so that as it gets less flexible, gravity isn't pulling on it. And where it is pulling on it, that stress is spread out amongst the patch and not just over a single crease. And this is, you know, like I said, kind of been my life's work, other than Regal, is you know, preserving these real props. So, you know, definitely feel lucky that I have that background and that I have the crew that works with me to be able to help out when we're doing this stuff, because it's it gives me a lot. It puts my mind at ease when I bring in something that's a latex piece, because I know it's like, okay, we're going to give this the best possible positioning to, you know, stand the test of time, slow those hands of the clock down a little bit, and keep them around for folks to enjoy when I do podcasts like this.
One last question from me. I know this is something, Tom, that me and Gabe talk about quite a bit one-on-one, and I know obviously you've been lucky enough, you know, because you're part of this thing, but you've been to Skywalker Ranch, you've been to the archives numerous times, and you know, do you know what's in store for the archives? We know that George Lucas is building this crazy cool facilities, and Gabe and I talked about a lot of that Lucas did hold on to that stuff. Do you know a little bit about what's going on with that?
So, I mean, the neat thing is when I go to the archives, they don't arrest me. So like that right there is kind of nice.
I had that coming.
Honestly, you know, I have a little bit of information. I have some ideas about it, but I know plans are always in flux, and I feel like I'd be talking out of turn to even discuss it. I'm very curious what the future holds. It's a magical place. It is. It's someplace super special to me. I genuinely can't believe that I get to go there and not be arrested. And not to hit any sore points or anything, but like it's genuinely shocking to me every time I go. You know, it's hard to put into words how special it is. And so, I'll just, you know, the only thing I'll say is I just feel lucky that we get to do what we do, and that we get to be there, and that over the years we've gotten to go as we have, whether it's for our restoration work, whether it's for other projects, whether it's for the Regal stuff now. You know, that's one of the coolest things that's happened to me professionally. And man, as a Star Wars fan, you just can't beat it.
Right. That's all I'm sure now. Like when you get stuff and you revitalize it, and it goes back, I'm sure it's in the right climate controlled temperature. right?
Yeah, well, certainly with them, yeah, they're
Yeah. Okay.
you know, and this is no secret, but you know, the basic kind of museum standard on that is 50% humidity, 65 degrees, and that's, you know, I shoot as close as I can with that in here. It's certainly on the humidity side of it, and you know, in New York, that means you've got to humidify in the winter and you've got to dehumidify in the summer, and then there's a couple of crossover days where like no machine is running and it's nice and quiet down here, but otherwise it's, you know, you're always thinking like, okay, how do, you know, what do we have to do right now? Just keep everything in balance. And you just try and keep the temperature down as you can. Latex, you know, definitely likes cooler temperature over time. You put it in high temp and it's going to, you slowly over time, it'll bake, it'll dry out, you know. And what you want to do is
great info. That's great information. I actually didn't know that, so.
Yep, that's why I'm here.
Thanks, so Tom. Thank you for
answering. Of course.
And so this is actually a perfect segue because obviously, speaking of the archives, right? I mean, you recently, you know, may have been there and
yeah, a little bit,
and kind of been lucky enough to see some of these. Can we
just talk about this picture and how the human being traced in the background is clearly Phil Tippett? It's like it's his hair, it's his profile. They even gave him a little frowny mouth, you know, if you look close.
Yeah, I did not even notice that right now.
But I love that, like, yeah, someone put a light on a wall and like traced Phil out, and that was how he made the life-size, you know, kind of blow up to start that costume. Like that, I absolutely love that image so much.
Man. So let's talk about this piece, right? So you guys got to handle this piece and look at it and do lots of wonderful things with it. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, I mean, you know, so like the whole idea of the archive collection is, you know, people have kind of been saying that about some of our pieces already. Like, you know, we give them a chance to bring like a piece of the archives home. Like they feel like the stuff that we're doing, and it's like a huge compliment that they feel like it's, you know, like we're giving them a chance to own something that they wouldn't be able to otherwise, and that it's authentic to what's in there. And that's our thing. Like we're prop guys, you know. There's, even when we're doing magnets and things like that, we're still putting, you know, the same level of interest and detail into these things. Heck, half, you know, there's probably not half, but there's definitely a bunch of our magnets that are, you know, rendered from scans of original props and things like that, because it's just, why wouldn't you if you could, I guess is a way to put it. Right. But so yeah, one of the things we've been dying to do is expand our Maquette line. We had plans on it for a long time. On previous archive strips, we had done extensive photos and measurements and color matching on a pretty big bunch of the maquettes, at least a dozen or so. And we've since been able to go back. And of course, this all traces back now. Everything sounds new right now. You know, it's like, oh, it just happened. But a lot of this stuff traces back a year or more. But we've been able to go back and to use high resolution scanning on just a ton of the maquettes, because I think those are some of the coolest things in there. You know, we of course have paid plenty of attention and done tons of research on the props, the one-to-one masks, some of the characters, you know, everything we possibly could. But the Maquette line, it's nice. It's like, it's manageable. It doesn't take up your whole room, and you got all this great variety. And you know, as a bonus, they all trace back to the old making of specials that you know, I watched nonstop to learn how to do this stuff. You know, like that picture there. So that's a still from Star Wars to Jedi, the making of a saga, or they might have had a shot like it in Classic Creatures. But you know, so Phil pulls up the Max, looks at it, puts it down, and he takes a big pair of scissors and he starts shaving away the shape of Max Rebo. And as a kid, for whatever reason, I thought that thing was covered in fur. I thought it was black fur and he was trimming the hair on it. And I'm like, is he trimming the hair down? And then he's going to put latex on it? Like, I had no idea what's going on. And of course, years later, when we got to restore the costume, we learned that that's actually black Scott foam, which they used a lot on fabrication on big pieces back then. So that's like a reticulated foam rubber, same sort of stuff you'd find in an air conditioner filter, or like a filter for a fish tank. And it holds shape really well. It's not super heavy because it's got a lot of air in it, and it's real easy to trim and shave down. So, you know, Phil glued together a bunch of chunks of it, and then he's literally just carving with scissors to make the shape of Max Rebo. And it's something that I got to watch them do at Henson when I first got, you know, my first gig in the industry. They were carving up pig heads, and they were taking just chunks of foam rubber and a pair of scissors, and they made like a you know, like a Miss Piggy style pig head. And it was the coolest thing to watch. And of course, immediately, like literally that day, I went home and I took a chunk of couch foam and a pair of scissors and I made a pig, you know, like that was happening as soon as I learned how to do that. But anyway, you know, those documentaries really, you know, a lot of times gave us a glimpse at what could have been. They gave us a glimpse at these original concepts and these original ideas, the kernel of the idea that would become all these cool costumes and puppets and all of that stuff. Pardon me. And I don't know. I absolutely love that stuff. And I'm really glad. It seems like a lot of our fans do too. You know, a whole bunch of the Gamorrean Maquette has sold, the Mandalorian version that came from Tony McVeigh's molds. A whole bunch of the Tauntaun Maquette that came from Phil's molds have sold at this point. I don't know how many are left. I want to say it's like 50 or 60 out of 250. So it's like a good number of those have found a home. Our Jabba the Hutt Maquette sold out. And that Jabba is like the perfect, you know, it completely emblematic of that era and of that set of these maquettes. So, you know, to me, it's just the perfect thing to expand on. And the fact that we were able to get hands on with so many of them and get these high-res scans and to be able to, you know, duplicate them down to, you know, what is it, 0.015 of a millimeter or something ridiculous. You know, the technology has gotten to a point, and the output technology has gotten to a point where you can get a beautiful scan of something, you can do your cleanup, you can get a beautiful print of something that's nearly flawless, and, you know, nearly a ready-to-go master that is so accurate to the original thing that, you know, it just makes sense for us to push forward on it. And then from there, you know, now it's just very typical for us: mold, cast, and then hand paint every piece. And that's what we did with Max. And that's the first 83 of them are done and on their way to Star Wars Celebration in a big, heavy wood crate as we speak. There they are. So that's the signature edition. The signature edition is 83 pieces, every one of them signed by Phil Tippett. The plaque, that is, not Max. Phil was the one who sculpted both the maquette and the life-size costume. The folks at Lucasfilm wanted us to do a serious, in-person only exclusive for this show. And it was talked about, you know, maybe doing a character that you couldn't get anywhere else. For me, it was really important that people who couldn't get to the show still had a chance, at the very least, to get the maquette, even if they couldn't get, you know, this particular edition. And we kicked around a few ways to do it. The signature edition wound up being the thing that Lucasfilm was happiest with, and gives folks at the show a real bonus for going to the show. That's what the Star Wars people want. They want, you know, and by that I mean the folks running Star Wars stuff for Lucasfilm, not necessarily, you know, obviously the fans want, everybody wants to get everything, but they want to do something special for the folks that get to the show. And this is our way of doing that. And, you know, our way of being as nice as we can to our fans and collectors is to say, okay, you know, as soon as we can after this, which is going to be June 7th, I believe, it'll be a Tuesday after the show, about a week after, we'll be doing a numbered edition. And it'll be an edition of 250 pieces. The hope is that that'll last on the website for a little bit and give folks a chance to you know, really, you know, grab one and get them into their collection without having to struggle. And so the folks at the show get one of 83 special signature edition ones. And then shortly after, everybody at home gets their chance at Max. And it's the same great replica. It's going to be hand painted by the same great folks in our studio in New York. that paint all the other ones. When we paint these guys, we're trying to match that, rough and sloppy and fast and dirty paint that Phil Tippett did on the original. It's a beautiful paint job, but it's a maquette paint job. It is not, a polished statue that's all airbrushed up and everything. It's washes and streaks and dry brushes and things like that. It's honestly, it's the way I prefer to paint stuff. Yeah. And, for me, like, I don't know if you can really see on his back, but he's got almost these little subtle kind of blotches and stripes on his back. And there's a little bit of, it looks a little greenish on screen, but there's a brown wash over him to give him some age and some grunge and all of that. And he's really tough to photograph on black. It's one of these things when folks go to the show, they'll really get to see that paint job has a lot going on. There's little pink accents here and there around his little neck flaps and around his belly and under his snout. He's got his peachy fingertips, and then they get a wash over those to dirty him up. There's washes in the grooves of his wrists, dry brushes around his knuckles and things like that, and on his snout. And of course, his little beady eyes, Yeah. Naturally, we've got to paint every one of those little red balls too, which is no easy task.
Yeah. Just even the weathering portion of it. That's the one thing people kind of just don't realize how intensive the weathering a lot of the times is. That's probably the part that takes the longest, right?
On Max, it's not terrible, but it's just, to me, it's the most important step. When you paint this up, so, we're not trying to duplicate necessarily. It depends on the piece, but generally, at least with Max, we didn't want to get exactly how he is right now because he has a little damage or he has a little dirt or whatever that maybe wasn't their time of production. We want to try and capture how that thing looked in production, but without a little bit of distressing, without a little bit of aging, they look, he'd look very pastel. Right. His base colors are pretty pastel-y blues, and some of them are pretty intense. And there's some like purpley pinks on them and things like that go on as washes that they're bright pinks that look purple. But stuff like that would look a little garish if you're not toning it down after. And to me, that's the way you sort of settle a piece like this in. You've put on all these disparate layers, and then at the end, you kind of give it this one tone that just brings it all together, settles it in, and makes it go from a painted toy to a real artifact. Right. And that's always the push on this stuff.
And kind of speaking of that, Tom, because obviously we could see here, let me back it up. So we could see obviously the base. They just had it on a foam thing, right?
So it's actually a block of 2x4 or 2x3, 2x4 on Max. All of those maquettes are on either. They're literally on scrap wood. There's only a few of them, like the Jabba the Hutt, where they made the base actually themed. Right. The rest of them are on either pieces of plywood, pieces of 2x4, pieces of 2x3. And our thought was, in order for this collection to look right on people's shelves, as cool as the various bases are, what we decided was let's take the overall sort of top-down shape of the base for the most part. And, if it's a square, it's a square. If it's a rectangle, it's a rectangle. But let's give them all the same profile, 1.5 inches thick, which is what Max is on. And that's very similar to the size of the base he's on. And instead of going, plywood or rough painted up wood or dirty, plastered rough wood or things like that, let's just make them all clean black. They've got a little bit of wood grain on them. And I think what it'll do is unify that collection in a really cool way, but still be pretty faithful to the shapes and forms that the originals are on, without being, some of them are tough to display because some of them are on really awkward sized bases. And without looking like you put a bunch of junk on yourself either, you know?
Well, Tom, not only that, but like I think just in general with all of the Regal robot pieces, I mean, the chess set, even the bus. I mean, you're doing this black, nice, or the the Raincore, right? It's a nice,
minimal
black
museum-y.
museum style.
Yeah.
So so this is perfect to like.
And it's
line them
funny,
all up.
when we did the first of the maquettes we did was that Tauntaun, and we gave that snow base because in our mind, it wasn't how I wanted to do it, but it was like we knew what price we had to charge for it, and I was like, it needs something else to help justify the price, and fans maybe will like a snow base instead of just a plain black base. But if I had it my way at the time, I probably would have just done plain black. And now we've settled on that, and that's where we go going forward, I think, on most of these. And like I, if there's somebody where it makes sense that they have to have some element of theming to the base because that's what's on the maquette, or in a case like Max, where his original base is a gray painted chunk of 2x4. Do we, he's got all those little red balls on it. Like the base is part of his situation there. So here it was like, okay, well, let's get them all in the same place, in the same sizes and shapes. Which ones are squashed? Which ones are taller? Which ones have texture, etc. And from there, it's like let's keep all the elements we can, but let's just put it on a little cleaner, little crisper base that just feels museum-y. And I like the heft that 1.5 inches gives. I mean, for Max, it's great because it matches the dimensions of the one he's on. But there's a couple of the others that are on 3/4 bases in the archives that are like a little 3/4 chunked up piece of plywood. And when we put them on the 1.5 inches, it really adds something. Like it just gives them a little heft.
And Tom, I want to pick your Star Wars historian kind of part of your brain. Can you give us a little background on the balls, on kind of the history of Max? Because I think a lot of people don't realize.
I was getting ready to say, what is that? What are those red things?
I've got to ask Phil what the design intent was on them. Like, I genuinely don't know why he put them there in the first place. And what's weird is, like, we've talked to him about that. Yeah, like maybe is he supposed to be a juggler or something? We've talked to him about this maquette a lot, and I talked to him about the original costume when we were restoring it. But I never asked about the balls. The one thing we do know, though, is so the maquette was called Red Ball Jet during production. Like that was Max Rebo's name until it was until much later that when he was going to be a toy that they named him, I guess, or probably just before, later in the production anyway. But so. When Phil was making the costume and when they were making the maquettes, everything, he was just called Red Ball Jet. And Phil said that it was Joe Johnston that gave him that name. And it was because he had the little red balls on there. And Joe Johnston was referencing the sneakers from the 50s and 60s, the Red Ball Jet sneakers. I think it's probably more 60s. And if you look on YouTube, you can actually find like old time TV commercials for Red Ball Jet sneakers that are awesome. They're like promising you like buy these sneakers and you can jump higher and run faster than all your friends. It's like all stuff you'd never get away with. But it's so cool to go back and look at that stuff. And that's where the name Red Ball Jet comes from.
Yeah, and we did cool. It's on the plaques. That's cool.
Yeah. And then on the plaque, so that's only for the signature one. That was another thing from Lucasfilm was we did get to put that on there for that. We wanted to, I love, that sort of stuff. But generally speaking, when it comes to products, they're pretty specific about, keeping the trademarked names and things like that. But for the signature edition for Celebration specifically, they gave us the okay. So I was like, I'm going to put that everywhere I can.
Yeah. Now that looks good too, right?
Yeah.
The signature looks good on there.
Oh yeah.
That's he signed. He it's funny. Sometimes Phil goes a little crazy when he's signing stuff. He was pretty sharp this time around. He got a pretty good point on it this time. So so thank you, Phil.
That's right.
So Tom, obviously, let's get through some of these other things because obviously you're going to be at Celebration, right? You also announced you're starting this new. Obviously, this is collection more Star Wars replicas. This is big news for us, right? This is big news for the collectors. So
I like to think so.
Can you just give us a quick little like rundown on the archive collection? I know obviously we're going to be because you're going to be our guest at our panel at Star Wars Celebration, and we are going to talk about the
Yeah, by
license.
then we'll be able to really talk about the stuff.
Right. But until then, can you just kind of give our viewers just a little background of what exactly this is?
It just is the continuation of what we've been doing. It's coming up with replicas that have just the best lineage possible and giving folks things they're just not going to get anywhere else. And the Rancor CZ3, the Hollow Chess, the Gamorrean Maquette, the Tauntaun Maquette, all of that stuff that's come out before, all totally fits in with the archive collection. And our plan now is just, what's changed now is the number of things that we have access to in that regard. The number of pieces that we've been able to get hands on with, the number of things we've been able to scan, and also over the years, our ability to ramp up and produce things has changed a little bit. And we've added a lot of crew in New York. We've added people in some of our other fabrication locations and stuff like that. And we're just, going to be able to do a little more. At least that's the goal. And I think the archive collection is just a really good way to put a name on it. And it's something that, boy, I wish I had a time machine to do it from the start. But it doesn't mean it's not a great thing to do now. And that's what it really came down to. It's like, hey, let's run with this. This is, this is exactly what we've wanted to do from the beginning. And in a way, it's exactly what we've been doing. But now it's just more cohesive. And the name of it just, I hope, instantly gives people an idea of what we're doing.
100%. Because whenever I talk about, you could tell, like in some of my my videos, and whenever I talk about, even just like the old lights, right, master replicas and all that, a lot of people always want to know, like, hey, what's the difference between like this and the Black Series and like these and that, and the word, right, the archives, and that's my go-to is these companies have access to the Lucasfilm archives. And that just right there, boom, elevates the piece to kind of a whole new level. So I think it's perfect that you named it that, because it makes my job easier, right?
And that's why we did it. Yeah, that was foremost on our minds. We were like, you know what? How can we make Gabe's life easier? And that's why we did. And then we also said, how can we make Gabe's bank account lighter? And we said, "Ooh, archive collection, same thing." So
there you go. You got two birds with one stone.
That's what we like. That's what we like.
Got it. But yeah, so that's awesome. So it's just kind of more of a cohesive naming of kind of
and it's
going forward. But
it's not at a time where we're expanding into doing some prop replica-y stuff, and it really it's just such a good name. It just covers so much. And it's you're able to get prop replicas in there. You're able to get concept work and maquettes. You're able to get busts. Life-size characters could fall under this. There's a lot, and multiple paths to that, because even though it's the archive collection, some of this stuff maybe we've got access through a different way, but it still falls under that same, it's just the lineage is still there, so if we've got something where maybe we made something for a show. Sorry, go ahead.
It gives it a museum feel to it, almost the sound, right? It's like the archive collection.
Yeah, and look, I know our stuff is not cheap, like we do our best. Every piece that comes out of our studio, believe it or not, and I know some people won't believe this, is priced as low as we possibly can. We struggle to get our prices as low as we possibly can. And I know that, at the end of the day, a lot of our stuff, they're very high-end replicas. And, the reasoning behind that is the cost that goes into developing these, the cost that goes into making them, the licensing, the fees, all of that stuff as well. But it kind of, for it to feel a little museum-y, maybe that's a good thing as well, because ultimately, these pieces have to support that. They have to feel that way, because that's it's the nature of them at the end of the
Right.
day. And now I'm reading questions
So
on
Pete,
it.
so Pete says, because I know he reached out to you for the CZ3 initially, right? And he said that he thought you guys sculpted it, but when you told him that that you were working with an original direct from the art guy, he was floored. So I think it's perfect.
And that's
example.
it. It's like, why, if the opportunity is there, we've got to take it. We've got to, if we can bring somebody something that is molded off, scanned off out of an original mold, or sculpted 1-to-1 with an original next to it, or sculpted by the guy who made it for the movie, or made from measurements that we did at the archives, whatever. Like, why wouldn't you bring that into what you're doing? It's not like we're doing our interpretations or statues or things like that. We've got our decor line for the inspired by stuff. We can do the fun wall pieces, we can do the fun desk pieces and things like that. But for this line, we want to get that lineage. We want to get pieces that just feel authentic at the end of the day.
Of course. So let's talk about.
Tom's like,
no.
what are you say?
No.
Where's the end of the tape? I'm just gonna, just so I don't accidentally say. There we go.
No.
That was a mistake.
That's
okay.
hilarious.
We're gonna let's talk a little bit about celebration. Celebration, because that's that's what is coming up. That's one on top of everyone's mind and everything. So there's gonna be some things that you're gonna have.
So many things,
right? You're gonna have some things at celebration.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at what we can see here.
Yeah.
So we have the exclusives, right? Obviously the Max Rebo, which we just saw.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a desk accessory and magnets and a wood art plaque that's gonna be shown in the near future, right?
This week is reveal week for us. Anybody who's been following our social probably saw there was a post up either yesterday or today that said, reveal week coming soon. So we're going to pull the curtain back. We've been dying to talk about this stuff. There's a lot of times where the schedule isn't entirely up to us. So, but now that we're getting to be able to, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we'll be doing reveals. And what's interesting is, so the first 3 will be exclusives. The 4th is going to be a furniture piece that we've had in the works for an extremely long amount of time, but is finally good to go. We actually got the first half dozen or so pieces in on it, and I'm excited to share that. We're going to have a couple of them at the show for folks to see and experience, and we'll also be making those live on the website, I believe, this Thursday. So that's kind of a bonus reveal that'll be coming up. So anybody that's out there and interested in our furniture stuff, keep your eyes peeled. It's going to be really cool. And those you'll be able to order. And like I said, the first half dozen, I think, are in stock. And if you order them, they'll ship right out, that kind of thing.
Perfect.
But we're actually, and that's, I see, you've always got our Emperor throne there, Master Gabe. And
hey! What about mine?
Nice. I couldn't see through you.
Hey, Tom. But real quick, we had that gentleman. What's his name, Gabe? That you did that fantastic Darth Vader desk.
Doug.
Doug
McLaughlin. Yeah.
Yes.
Doug.
Yeah,
Doug
he's proud.
awesome.
He's proud of that thing, man. He had the LEDs going off.
He's such a great guy. That was so fun working with him on that too, because we come up with, when we do a project like that, we'll come up with 10 or 15 different sketches and designs and run things back and forth. And we did like 2 rounds, I think, of design on that, where we did our first round of sketches, and then he picked a few things he liked, and then it was like I put my kind of 2 cents in. It was like, we'll take this from this one, that from that one, put these together, and
we saw him.
Real fun.
He showed us the sketches and everything. He was just like,
we tried like some wacky stuff too. So it's like we always try and you give people what they think they want, and then we give them what we think they might want, and then we always throw a few in there that we just think are fun. And but it really is kind of pretty often that they just grab the one we thought was fun. Like, the least intentioned one, the one that had the least thought behind it, that was just like, let's just relax and sketch. And sometimes that's when the cool stuff happens. But going back to those Emperor thrones, we're actually switching. So right now, those are up at I think it's a 12-week wait or 12 to 16-week wait, because they're all made to order. They're in the USA. They're made in North Carolina, which everybody who's ever bought furniture from any store knows. It always comes from North Carolina. But we're actually shifting those to be an in-stock item. So over the next couple of months, people who are interested in those will find, instead of a 12-week wait or a 16-week wait, this will ship out in a few days. It's basically just whatever time it's going to take to get it crated up and palletized and on a freight truck to head your way. So, from 12 to 16 down to probably closer to a week. So that's going to be really cool, and I'm excited about that. And we want to do the same thing with this other furniture piece, which I almost said the name of by accident. Nice try.
Oh, we're gonna have to rewind. We're gonna have to rewind. But Tom, just for my elitist status, thing, my chair was number one, right? Let me.
What?
Oh my God! Let's not go there.
Yeah, definitely.
Jesus.
My throne was the first one, right? I mean, out there. I'm just.
It had to have been. I can't imagine.
I heard somebody else had.
No. I'm pretty sure mine was first.
You always have to bring the wars to collection. Why?
I mean, mine is on your website. I'm just gonna throw that out.
Well, you know what? I mean, that's just because you take beautiful photos and your room is exquisite. So, that's people want to know how they get on the website. Take beautiful photos and send them to us, and we won't be able to resist.
Hey, Tom. So Chris Lord is asking, when will you reveal the bust? So some of these things you're gonna be doing sneak peeks before celebration, but there's going to be quite a few of these that not till the day of celebration. Is that correct?
Okay. So we're gonna. We'll have a post that goes live on our site sometime after the show starts. A little of that is going to depend on how we're doing at the show and how much spare time we have to get people updates. But our goal is on social to be taking photos from the booth and to give folks a sneak peek at, what's at the booth so they know what they're coming to see.
Yeah, that's what me and Gabe are.
But we can't share it until the show starts. But I do plan on having a blog post on the site that'll be like, the reveals from Star Wars Celebration, and it'll have nice studio shots of the prop replicas, the bust, the maquettes, etc.
Let me just tell you something right now. You came on the wrong show, because as you know, I am a trial attorney, and I'm quite good at cross-examination. Cross-examination of of the witnesses, and we're gonna do a quick little segment I like to call Attorney Gabe cross-examines the guest.
Oh God!
So let me.
Do I get representation?
No.
Can I?
No,
Clear up?
This is old school.
I want my phone call.
No.
Hey, what about that Death Star? Did you get copy? That's my Death Star. Yeah.
Old school.
Yeah. Could we? Is there? I don't know. Is there a Fifth Amendment in Gabe cross examines the witness?
Nope.
Damn it!
I'm the attorney, the judge, and the executioner in this.
Is there a 25th Amendment? And I could just say I was drunk, right? 25th prohibition. So I think. Anyway.
Mr. Spina. I'm the one asking the questions here. All right, I'm the one asking the questions.
I get treated as a hostile witness. I just even showed up on I thought I was a guest.
Mr. Spina.
Sorry,
if that's your real name. Let me ask you a couple questions.
I'm pretty sure it's my real name. Isn't it true? On the thing.
Isn't it true that you are the owner of Regal Robot?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Yes, just a simple yes or no. Mr. Spina.
I'm sorry, sir. Yes.
Now, correct. Isn't it true?
That's accurate. That is.
Isn't it true that as part of Regal Robot, you have a license from Lucasfilm to create some of the amazing pieces that are in the archives? Correct.
That's
correct. That a yes?
That's a yes.
Now, now, isn't it also
true? Can
the
stenographer read that back to me?
Now, isn't it also true that in the last, let's say, few months, you and your team made a couple trips to the archives? Isn't that true?
That's true. Yes.
And isn't it true that some of those maquette pieces are actually out there on the internet for the public to see?
I have no direct knowledge of that.
Mr. Spina, I want to show you a little piece of evidence here
Oh, no.
that I would like to show you here to impeach you, because I know for a fact that your next 5-10 pieces are going to be debuted today, right now.
What?
Yes.
How? I don't
I
know
want
where
to show
you
you
got
a
this,
little
but it
piece
can't
of.
be real.
Now, Mr. Spina, at the end of this reel, I'm going to ask you one simple question. Let me play you that reel. Now, as you can see here, we are looking
1,
at about 80,
2, 3. Yeah. Okay.
80 maquettes here. Now, isn't it true that your maquettes are in that video that I just played? Yes or no?
Mine or the ones we're replicating?
The ones you're replicating, Mr. Spina. Don't act.
Yes or no?
Yes or no?
I object. Can I object? Is that a thing? Can the witness object? I haven't seen a lot of court shows. I don't know how this works. You got me. You got me. Old Ironsides Gabe. You figured me out. Yes.
I knew it.
Many of the maquettes that we are currently working on might have been in that video. So, wow. You did your homework, man.
No more
questions.
Great job, Gabe.
No more questions.
Seriously.
Yeah.
The defense
well done. Well done.
I thought I was going to have to tell him, you can't handle the maquettes.
Right.
Awesome.
No, but yeah, no, but that's great, because that scene, I mean, really, I mean,
that,
remember,
God. I can hear the music in my head as that video goes by.
Right?
Yeah, like totally.
So, I mean,
God, that was a lot of pressure. Do you do this to all your guests?
No, that was I'm actually a lot sneakier when it comes to
okay.
in the courtroom
of course
he's pretty good, Tom. I can see him working for Lucasfilm.
Oh yeah, sure.
You never know, right?
Oh man. It'd be hard to leave sunny San Diego,
Yeah.
It's too nice. But yeah, I mean, look, guys, I mean, that's obviously, you're gonna have busts, you're gonna have replicas, and those are all gonna be announced pretty soon and all that stuff. But I think the maquettes, and I also want to bring up kind of price point for the maquettes, right? Because I think you're really developing your lines kind of. Really, I mean, there's the super high end, there's the kind of like middle high end, there's like the maquette pricing, and then you got your like the magnets and wall art and all that stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, it's anywhere from some of the stuff $20-$25, some of the wood art plaques and things like that, or the magnet stands. Then your magnets tend to be in the sort of 25 to 40 range if it's a 2-pack or something, or one of the bigger ones. You've got some of the desk accessory stuff that kind of goes in the next range. And then you've got some of the bigger wall decor pieces, maybe, the real big sculptural mythosaur skulls and stuff like that get into like that $300 range. The maquettes start around the $400 range now. Max Rebo will be $399 for the non-signature edition that goes up on June 7th, and it'll be $449 for the signature edition at the show. And most of the maquettes, we're going to try and hit that sort of sweet spot. I feel like that's a place that we're going to be able to. We can get them in at that price. We can still give a couple of pieces. We do a real limited number when we have a piece at that. It sounds weird to say, but at that low a price range, we really limit the number of pieces that we do wholesale with. But we have our retail partners that we have to take care of. Their fans want this stuff, and they're going to go there because that's, their loyal customers and stuff. So we always try and make sure Sideshow or Big Bad Toys or Secret Compass can get some of these. But on the Rebos in particular, it's going to be really a limited number that those folks get. So yeah, most of the maquettes will fall in that range. And then The prop replica stuff will probably be in kind of a mid-range sort of area. The busts, past busts we've done have been as low as 1,600-1,700 bucks. Honestly, just knowing the cost of making things now versus 4 or 5 years ago, or even 3 or 4 years ago, and being able to kind of post-mortem stuff that we've done already, I think that's probably on the low side for stuff like that. But it depends on the character. There's some of them, there's one that we've got in the works that it has a ton of work involved, and there's a lot of layers and a lot of different things going on, different materials, different manufacturing techniques that have to go into it. And so, it's possible that some of the busts are going to fall in the range closer to, $3,000 to $4,000 range. It's possible there's some busts that'll be $2,000 to $2,500. And then, higher than that, that's going to be real hit or miss at this point. We've done the Salacious Crumb, which was a really big piece. I mean, you've got one, so you know everything that went into that. There's also obviously the extra layers of the people involved in that and all of that as well. But with the chess set, that was an elaborate build that was, the equivalent of 10 maquettes really in how we did them. And with a ton of effort up front. And of course, there you go. And of course, the added layers of, the original makers being involved and things like that as well. So I don't know that there's going to be a ton in that, super high range, other than, the random pieces. Obviously, the big Chewbacca is in that range because of the work that goes into that and the cost of the fur, the custom hair, and all of that. The big Tauntaun is up there because, look, that's a 1-to-1 Tauntaun that's gigantic, and there's a ton of hand fabrication work that goes into that. Essentially, the longer someone has to spend on it in our studio, the more we have to recover. And of course, the higher ticket the item, the more goes to the royalties and all of that fun stuff too. But ultimately, I think, like you said, we're going to hit ranges. And that's what we really try and do. When I always joke when we're doing our live streams, like I'll look off to the side where our boards are. And, we color code the board based on price. And if we put an item up there and, we make sure that we're not all red items everywhere. The red item is like the really high ticket item. There's, we want to have some orange and yellow and green and stuff on that board and blue. So it's really down to like making sure that we get a wide range of stuff on there and give fans of all collector levels stuff that they can go for, and that we get. Oh no! Oh, there you go. Oh, I love that. Yeah, that was such a fun little set too. I couldn't believe we got Lucasfilm to okay us doing that. That was. Somebody said that skull has a name. I forget the name. It came out of one of the Tales from the Jabba's Palace story or something. But they actually say who the guy was whose skull Luke picks up and throws at the switch, which is just awesome. But yeah, for me, it's important also, if we're going to have a big item like Salacious Crumb, which was last August that went up for sale, you'll notice we didn't put another $4,000 or $5,000 item up since then. We want to give everybody a chance to pay those off, to recover, us a chance to make them. We've got, I think 6 of them went out right at the beginning. We got to do the reviews and stuff like that. And then we've got the first 24 in the works right now, or the next 24. But we still have a long road ahead of us on making those. So that's going to be this summer's project, is just, a studio full of Salacious Crumbs being made for a long time. But it's going to be cool.
And we also, there's another little sneak peek that we can show today. Speaking of, the tier systems and all that,
the tiers.
You put a little teaser on the separation.
I don't know if anybody
collection.
will guess who that is.
I mean,
I don't know.
That's cool.
I mean, the 2 right there. I mean,
The
thing is, Tom, the one thing is only the true fans would understand those 2, that there's the 2
why
arms.
There's 2.
Why there's 2 arms, right?
And is that not the Regal Robot fan though? Is that not who we're aiming at directly with the stuff that we make? Is the people who would look at that silhouette and not only immediately know what it is, but know why there's 2 of them and what each one is, for sure.
Tom, do you when you started doing the magnets? Obviously, it's amazing how far you've. How many magnets are there now? There's like 20. How many total magnets
You
do you
know,
have?
I honestly I don't know the number offhand. I guess it's probably close to 20 of them. But yeah,
Yeah,
we only started the magnet line in 2019. We did an exclusive for the conventions that year. It was for Celebration and Comic-Con. We did the Jabba's
right.
Palace, the Deus gargoyle with the ring in his mouth. Um, and it just went over great. You know, a ton of people bought it, and people really dug it. Yeah, there you go. And it was something different, and it kind of was like, it's like, hey, this is stuff we can do in house. We can put a little bit of that, hand painted feel into everything on them and stuff like that, and give folks um, something that's more than just like a magnet with a logo on it or a picture or
Mm.
one of those like kind of press molded ones where it's just like a relief or something like that. Like
Mhm.
we're trying to do just interesting, fun stuff, deep cuts, beasts and characters, things. There's this kind of parts of the galaxy thing we've been doing now where it's the restraining bolt or R2D2's hollow eye or the
Right.
Mandalorian's detonator there, the grav charges, and it gives stuff that's propish in feel, but at a really great price. For 30
Yeah.
bucks, you're getting a restraining bolt that's as close to the real prop as you can kind of get in that range. And it's also cool to keep your refrigerator from running away into the Junlin wastes after an old wizard.
Those who might not have started to collect these magnets and want to get into it, do you
Yeah.
still have all of the magnets still available if they wanted the complete
So
collection?
the only two that aren't available are the ones that were Comic-Con exclusives or
Okay.
convention exclusives. So there was a
Okay.
Luke Tauntaun.
Yeah,
We
that's
do
right.
have a Han Tauntaun that is still available, but the Luke has the broken horn there.
Yeah. That's cool.
And then the Jabba the Hutt gargoyle, the Deus gargoyle there. Those two aren't available just because those were exclusives.
Okay.
The rest of them, yeah, they're all there. You can get them, and I'm sure the exclusives turn up on eBay and stuff like that from time to time.
I really like that you did these little stands too, because I've seen people display them, like the ones that have been collecting them.
That's cool.
What?
Very cool.
And that's kind of the thing for me too, where it's like I want them to be more than just magnets. It's like these are we call them magnetic mini sculptures. There it is. It's right on the thing there.
Yeah.
Because ultimately that's what they are. Like when you look at those things there, the Rancor on the left is actually based on the same scan of the Rancor that we used for our 1-to-1 replica of the puppet.
There you go.
The Rancor switch is recreated from a scan of the original prop of that.
Is it? I didn't
the
know
gargoyle
that. Huh.
was a free sculpt by Sean Fields, but it was based on behind the scenes photos of the real prop, so it's like even on these we're putting authenticity into them, and it's they're just fun. They're fun to make. They're fun for folks to have. And like, I love the idea of the stand as just a way to make it more than like, oh, I ran out of room on my fridge, or, maybe you want to put it next to your prop that's related to it. Maybe you want the Rancor switch next to your Rancor prop, or maybe you want the gargoyle next to one of your Boba Fett hot toys or something like that.
Yeah. And all I'm saying is this is new. I didn't know that this guy was scanned from.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that, because you did this new addition for me to make my job. All I'm saying is that if this doesn't come out in a 1-to-1, Tom, I'm gonna be very upset. So.
I think that'd be a really cool 1-to-1 someday.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So yeah.
I'm no longer under oath, sir.
Yes, absolutely. You're off the stand.
He brought out the Star Wars Chronicles for me to swear on before,
Yeah, exactly. Today is George Lucas's birthday.
That's right. Yeah.
You're swearing to the creator.
Swear to the maker.
Swear on the maker.
By the way,
put
Gabe,
your hand on the Journal of the Wills.
Yeah.
And
you did a great job, Gabe. That was awesome.
That was fun.
Yeah, I was just
I'm
Just
never
some
coming
fun.
back on this podcast.
Without my attorney, without my
That's
lawyers
right.
present.
I'm going to show up next time, and there's just going to be some jerk in a suit behind me the whole time. And it's just like, and every once in a while, he's going to like tap on my shoulder. I'll lean back. He'll whisper. It's like, don't answer that.
Fifth
Like,
Amendment. But so celebration, Tom. I
Yes.
mean, obviously, we're really excited. Your booth, 25.
30, 10 by 30 this time.
No,
Usually
what's
we're
the-
at 20
the
by
number?
10 by 20, so
What's the
50%
number?
bigger than normal.
What's the number again? 30. What's the
The number is 2518. Sorry, I didn't know where you were going with that.
Yeah, but I like knowing about
2518. Come and get us.
2518.
We are in Hall A, and we're very close to the front of the building. There's kind of two main avenues, and we're on the corner of the second one. So, you know, if this is the literal front of that thing, there's one row of booths and then us. And we're towards if you're looking at it from the top, we're in Hall A and towards the left side of it, closer to the Star Wars stage than to the ticketing area.
Very cool.
Let me see if I can pull it up because
we just got the map actually, like I think last night. I think that pardon me, I think Rob is going to put together a map and kind of mark where we are on it so that folks can see it on social.
I was trying to see if they already had it up on Star Wars Celebration. I think they did.
Yeah, while he's pulling that up, Tom, I don't know if you saw our episode two episodes back. I had Matt and Laurel from the Chewy. The Peter Mayhew Foundation. Yeah, they came and visited the gallery here, and they're the ones that were responsible for getting Chewy signed at the palace.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it was an honor having them here in the gallery. And so.
I'm so glad they got over there. Yeah, they were so great about that, and about just making sure that Peter got to see the bust that we had done.
Yeah.
And finding that little hole in his schedule. And I just remember, them coming by the booth, and we had talked a whole bunch, and we had been in touch with them obviously ahead of time, but got to meet them in person at the show. And then just at one point they came over and they're like, do you have, 15 minutes? Peter's got a break coming up. And we just grabbed the bust, held it over my head so it would be out of the crowd, and hauled ass to the other side
I know
of the
all about that.
to go see him.
I know all about that.
And it was, oh gosh, yeah, what a magical
Did y'all get a picture with that? Did you get a picture?
We did, yeah. Actually, it's funny. Someone, I think it was Peter's daughter, actually videoed the whole time where Peter was looking at it and talking about it. He was so gracious. He was so happy with that bust. It was, man, it made my day. And Angie pulled me aside after and was like, he hasn't lit up like that in weeks. This was so great. Oh my gosh. You talk about just you just tear up every time you think about it, especially knowing, how soon after we lost them. And, but yeah, there's somebody was shooting photos. I think it was Katie did video. And it was just, I was so lucky after it, because I didn't think to take any pictures, but after it, everybody was like, they all sent me photos and everything. And there's great shots of Peter laughing and looking at it and pointing at the eyes and things like that. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Sorry. I just saw the mention there. Max will be gone by Friday.
Right. That's why I wanted to bring that up, Tom.
Yeah. I'd love to get feedback on this. So, our thought is on something like that. This is a high ticket item for a takeaway at a show anyway. And it is, a limit of 83 is a small number, but also could be a big number depending on how you look at it. Our thought would be, going into it, certainly the first few days is, one per customer kind of thing. I'd be curious how folks feel about the idea of, whether we do something, because we do this a lot of times with the exclusives where, and sometimes you almost have to, because you can't keep all your stock at the booth and you got to restock in the next morning. But a lot of times we'll do, 75 a day on something where it's every morning we have another 75 that we can release. For something like Max, it's do we do 30 on Thursday, 30 on Friday, and the rest on Saturday, so that your weekday people and your weekend people have a chance at it. I'd be curious what folks think about it, what they like to see. Would they rather it just all be, out there the first day or the second day so that they can line up early and get their best chance at it?
I think a lot of people are not going to be showing up until Friday and Saturday, right? Thursday is going to be one of those like landing days. Maybe some people make it towards the end. So I think if anything, maybe release like,
even if it's Thursday, Friday,
20 on Thursday, maybe 20 on Friday, save the bigger chunk. But again, you run into the risk of like, hey, what happens if you have a ton of them by Saturday night and all of a sudden Sunday.
And all the people who wanted to buy them were there Thursday,
know?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I always hate I know a few people that are literally only going to the show Thursday, which is a weird thing for one of these shows. But, what do you do if like that guy's number 21 online?
Right.
And, I'd feel bad. But it's, we're going to figure it out. It's something that, we definitely put a ton of thought into. And I love hearing feedback on that kind of stuff. We're not always going to do exactly what folks want, but I love to know what they want. I love to know, what we're doing that resonates with people in a good or a bad way so that we can just keep adjusting as we go, keep growing, keep getting better.
Yeah. Well, the one thing about that, Tom, the good thing is if you're not able to get one of the 83, you will be able to get out of the 250. So that's one good thing about it.
Yeah, because this, look, the signature is fantastic, and have that special edition with the little sticker on the box that says Star Wars Celebration. Sure, that's cool. Yeah. But ultimately, you want the maquette. You want that thing that was scanned off the thing at the archives. And I wanted to be sure. It was so important that we didn't do something that folks couldn't get the statue. Right. So I'm happy with what we came up with. I hope that fans are okay with it. I think it's been great. The reaction to the signature edition has been really great. I'm so pleased that folks are interested in it, and they're reaching out to us and saying, it's like, I'm going to be there Thursday morning, or I'm going to be there Friday morning. Do you think you're going to have any left? Like, I'm glad that folks are anxious to get it. I'm but it's nice to have that other option for them, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, then you got kind of collectors like me, where it's like, how many Phil Tippett signatures do I really need?
And that's fair.
Yeah, because I got like 10 of them at this point.
Yeah.
So that brings up a question for me. So I'm pretty familiar with Phil Tippett's role in Return of the Jedi, Star Empire and whatnot. So this line of maquettes that you're coming out with, is it safe to say that these are all? Is there going to be any possible? And you might not be able to answer this. Other people that were, he's smiling. Any other people that were involved other than Tippett?
I'm no longer under oath, sir.
Okay.
The judge has told me I don't have to answer your questions. The other guy's a lawyer.
So I can understand. That. So at Celebration, are you going to really let people know future coming soons though?
At Celebration, they're going to see the next 1, 2, 3. So they're going to see the next 3 maquettes after Max Rebo.
That's exciting.
So one of them will be a fully painted, ready to go. It's actually a paint sample. So it's like that's gone through mold, cast, and test paint, and paint mastering. And this is what you're going to get. There's another one. It's hard to call it one. You'll have to see it there. That's also another, like, this is what you're going to get ready to go, painted, et cetera. And then there's another one that's going to be an unpainted prototype, which I just love showing that kind of stuff. To me, it's like the look behind the scenes.
I love that more.
And that'll be the next one after that, I think. And then we're even going to have, I think that we're still going to have a little 5x7 coming soon with a silhouette of the next one. In terms of other makers and stuff that were involved, we don't have other signature editions planned for the maquettes.
Okay.
That doesn't mean we're not going to do them. It just means at the moment we don't have that plan. That said, for any of those guys that are around and want to be involved, I think if there was an opportunity to do something with one of those guys, where if we had something that was sculpted by one of them, that was one that we were going to do, I freaking love that. I love giving credit to those guys behind the scenes, and I love shining a spotlight on, to me, the rock stars of that movie, you know.
For sure.
um,
For sure. Absolutely.
yeah, it's
Cool.
and I think it's just, it's a little more like, you know, for Salacious, we did the 2-up where we had the sculptor and the actor that, you know, performed him, the puppeteer. I think I don't know that we'd ever do just an actor on something. But I think, you know, for us, it's definitely more about the makers. And I'm always into the idea of adding more of that kind of stuff into the mix.
Awesome.
Well, you've done it in the past, which is really cool. McVeigh and
yeah. And Brian
Brian
Muir on
Muir.
CC3 and Phil on the Tauntaun and the Rancor.
Yeah.
and Max Rebo and
Max,
now everybody's sick of Phil Tip. But you know, even with the chess set where we had Phil, but we also had we got John Berg on there, we got Dennis Muir. Like, how cool is that?
There you go, guys.
Yeah, there you go. You know,
John Berg, Dennis Muir, Phil Tippett.
I can't believe we pulled that together, and that's, you know, the 3 people really most responsible for that scene looking the way it does. You know, the miniature photography guy, the guys who made the maquettes and animated them, the puppets. Like, how do you get better than that?
Right.
Tom, I know after it's been several years you've been collaborating and talking with Phil Tippett. What's your relationship with him now? And first off, what does he think about seeing all this stuff? Because I know he's got kind of like, I don't give a shit attitude.
Right.
but how does he honestly feel about seeing these things?
Resting, don't give a crap face. Sure. Yes. You know what? It's funny. He warms up. I feel real lucky to know him. I feel like he's a constant stream of inspiration. I feel so fortunate that I can pick his brain, you know, on a real regular basis. And he, there's actually hanging at the studio, is his review of the chess set, because we sent him one of those. What's great is he sent us a picture of him with the chess set going like this, you know, because that's how he does it. But the review is like caps and exclamation points and, you know, just effusive and, just about the nicest thing anyone could ever say about the work. And coming from him, who made the stuff and who, you know, recently remade the stuff and knew these things intimately, like that. Oh my God, what a review. And it meant so much to me. And I immediately, like, you know, ran it on the color printer and hung it on the break room door so that everybody in the shop could see it. Because he specifically called out not just, you know, the way that he liked it, but he said, you know, it's like, you know, kudos to all departments, from the, you know, sculpting to the paint to the packaging, you know, right down the line. Was thankful to everyone involved and was so nice about it. So, you know, that makes me feel real good.
That's awesome. And Tom, also, that speaking of packaging, because I did catch your interview that you just recently did, and I know you already mentioned you guys are already working on the laser cut insert, like, right? Like, you guys already kind of have that.
Yeah, the die cut insert for it depends on the piece, but where it makes sense now, we're
I don't know if it was on your live, or maybe it was one it was
one of those. Mac, it's for Max. He ships with, it's a 7x7 gloss black box with the tuxedo label, which is the standard, packaging design from Lucasfilm for the high-end collectibles. And within that is a 7x7 cube, 7x7x7 cube, 3 dimensions, die cut for Max's perimeter with bubble, bubble plaque, folded COA on top with the fold out that shows the archive collection info, and then the COA about the piece, signed by me, hand signed, everyone. I vandalize stuff all the time. It's just Tom's tagging things again. He's lowering value.
My room is littered with.
Oh gosh,
my room is littered with these.
I love the people who are like, you know, oh, I think that's printed on there. It's like, no, we literally handwrite those. Like, and there's some of us don't have the best handwriting in the world. So like, some of them look like a ransom note, you know, it's just like, it should just say, you know, thanks for the order. Please leave $10,000 in unmarked bills
Right.
under the bridge, you know?
That means a lot. That,
Or, or your
means-
credit card. We do accept payment plans.
Right. That's right. Yeah. No cops. You know?
Yeah.
On a serious note, people love that.
So-
Getting that personalized signature from you.
Thank
Tom.
Yeah, no, it really is. It really is. And my first experience with it was with the chair, right? When I got the chair delivered, you know, it had that, you know, handwritten, you know, thanks note. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. And that was my first kind of, you know, major purchase through Regal Robots. So,
it's the old Kenner, you know, we really do care, you know, like that's that attitude I want to have. I want people to know, like, you're Christine at the shop always says this. So a lot of people, if you're emailing us or if you're placing orders, you're getting either Christine or Tracy or Katie most of the time. But Christine always says, when people talk about what we're doing, if they question the price or anything, she's like, I can tell you who painted that. You know, it's like, not just like, oh, it was made in China. We made 10,000 of them. They shipped over. And it's like, no, Max made that. You know, it's like Max cast it, Max painted it, or Matt cast it up and then Max painted it, or Melissa painted it, or whatever. Like, we know exactly who worked on every single piece that we do. It's all, we've said from the beginning, from our hands to yours. It's why we always use the hand shot so you can see scale on stuff.
and in fact, that's exactly, this is again, great point, right? This is why I wanted to have you on this panel, Tom. So again, you guys, if you're at Celebration on Saturday, right, May 28th, we're going to have a panel and Tom's going to be on there, and Tom's going to be talking about kind of that process, right? From what did you just call it? From our hands to yours. Like, it's it literally, you know, these things get they're you know, if they're cast, they're hand cast, you know, you're pouring things in. It's not like in some big machine. One by one, they're getting sanded, they're getting magnets glued in, they're getting hand painted. Maybe it's 2 or 3 layers of paint. Maybe if it's a maquette, it could be 10, 15 layers of paint. You know, it's getting clear coated, handed off to someone else who's then hand wrapping it, putting it in a box, hand assembling the box. You know, this is all of that goes into every single piece we do. We'll
talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, and you're only going to have 20 minutes, Tom.
Yeah, I know, exactly. I'm out.
Don't be hogging up the whole. Don't be hogging up the whole hour, Tom.
There's a sneak preview of what we're going to be talking about.
That's right.
On the panel, guys.
Well, and by then we'll be able to talk about all the stuff at the booth too. So
yes, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, guys. So obviously, if you're around Celebration on Saturday from 5 to 6, the podcast stage, we're going to be doing a little live stream there. It's going to be myself, Michael, Tom's going to be there, and yeah, we're going to talk about you know, the whole lineage thing, you know, why that's important, you know, to us. We're going to show some cool, you know, collections and cool, you know, cool stuff of how people use these licensed prop replicas in their homes and in their collections. So definitely join us if you can. I would love to, you know, meet everyone. I'm sure, right, Michael, there's a lot of people that, you know, Tom, you too. I mean, that we've met through these channels and through these, you know, Facebook
so
groups.
many people.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a really cool show just for that. There's so many people that I know by name, I know by their avatar online, maybe, or their their profile picture, but have never gotten to meet in person. And that's a real special part of these shows.
And the cool thing about this is that we're going to have a whole little hall to ourselves, right? All these little collector groups that we all know each other. We're all, you know, that have reached out in support. You know, there's going to be a big, literally hall full of collectors. So it's going to be so cool to kind of meet everyone in person.
I can't wait.
It's going to be fun.
I'm just looking forward to that plane trip where I can take a nap for 6 hours.
Yeah, I know, Tom. I know, that's the one thing about you, and you've always been that way since I met you the first time. I know you're going to be so busy, and it's crazy, but you seem to always find that moment for your your friends and your fans out there, and you've always been super classy, Tom. So
Thank you.
thank you, man.
I do what I can. It's just we wouldn't get to do what we do without the folks that are bringing this stuff into their homes, and I still feel like the luckiest kid in the universe. I mean, on so many levels. I've gotten to know so many great people through this hobby, the fellow collectors, fellow fans, folks who obsess about the same parts of these movies. I'll have hours long conversations about, some obscure prop and things like that. And it's just, man, you couldn't ask for better friends in the world than Star Wars fans. So pretty damn lucky, all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been really cool I've known you a long time now, Tom, and seeing you grow, turning into, I remember us having those late night discussions about this new company called Regal Robot, and and look at you, brother. Congrats on everything.
Thank you, man.
And you're so particular about everything with the licensing and Lucasfilm, which you should be. And the fans appreciate you, bro.
Right.
Thanks, man.
Well, speaking of fans, we got a little question here for Tom from Jason here. Is there anyone Tom is dying to, or anyone or anything, I'm sure, from Star Wars that Tom is dying to make but hasn't been able or allowed to yet?
So on the able side, I'll just say Cantina Monsters. And it's just purely scheduling on that at this point. On the not been allowed side, yes. There's actually a pretty good amount of stuff that we haven't been allowed to make that I'm dying to make. I can't, unfortunately, talk about it, but there's quite a few things on my list that have just gotten the nix. But sometimes we get to revisit that stuff. There's been a few things that we've revisited later, and the stars aligned and they went great. But other times things just for whatever reason they don't want to let you make. So that's what comes with a license. You gotta we gotta be a good partner to them, just like they've been to us. So
of course. And then final kind of question, Tom. I'm not really more of a question. It's more of, are there any panels or any kind of people that you're excited to see as a fan? And then number two, follow up. Can you kind of just tell everyone kind of your schedule for panels if anybody wants to kind of catch some of you?
It's funny. I haven't gotten to look at the panels that I'm not on yet. I haven't looked at the schedule. I know they published it, I think this week or late last week. Generally, it's tough for me to get away from the booth to go to panels anymore. And it's sad because I really love those. Usually for me, it's the stuff on Gus Lopez's collector stage. Those panels about like unproduced vintage Kenner toys and stuff like that. That's the good stuff for me. In terms of places to see me, so there is the high-end collectibles panel with Brian Merton from Lucasfilm. That I believe is at 2:30 on the Twin Suns stage on Thursday. I'll be a part of that with a few of the other licensees. There's even giveaways there. All of the licensees are bringing like a pretty cherry item to give away. So definitely worth going for that alone.
You might see a little special appearance there.
Oh, you might. You never know. You never know who might show up on a panel like that. Later that night at 6:00, Gus Lopez has the movie props collecting panel. I am slated for that, although I'm tentative just because I got to see how the booth is going that day. But I am hoping to be on that, and that's always a really good one. Brandon and Steven from Prop Store are on that. Gus Lopez is on that, super collector and super guy. And Dave Mandel, who's the showrunner for Veep and Curb Your Enthusiasm and stuff like that, is a major Star Wars collector, longtime friend of mine, collector friend, and also a client of ours. He'll be showing some of his Star Wars stuff that, will blow people's minds. Saturday, I have the panel with you guys, which is the podcast stage. Is that what time? 5:30?
Podcast stage 5 to 6.
5 to 6. I'll be there. And I'm trying to think if I have another one Saturday afternoon. I don't think I do. On Sunday, I have the making of Return of the Jedi Creatures on the Twin Suns stage. That is from 2 to 3 p.m. And it's with me, Jason and Gabe from Blast Points Podcast, and Amy Ratcliffe. And we have a special guest of Kirk Thatcher, who is one of the most fun, interesting guys you will ever meet in your life.
Yeah,
He is
that guy's
a
funny.
writer, director, producer. He's worked with the Muppets. He got his start on Return of the Jedi, and he has all the good stories about making those creatures for Star Wars Return of the Jedi. So
remember he was on here with us for Salacious. Remember?
Yeah,
you were on that show.
You were on the show, Tom.
Yeah. I bring him around anywhere I can.
I just think of him as the guy with the mohawk.
That's right, the punk on the bus from Star Trek 4.
Yeah,
How great is that?
Which he recently replayed, right?
Right? Yeah.
So
I love it. But yeah, so he'll be on that with us, and we're going to have a really good time talking with him. And it's actually what I'm supposed to be doing now is working on the slides for that panel. We've got all kinds of behind the scenes photos people haven't seen before. So if you like rare behind the scenes photos, that's the one to come to. And then booth 2518, come find me at the booth in the in-between times. Hopefully, if we're not completely crowded, I can actually have a couple of minutes to take a breath, talk, say hi. And I just can't wait to see everybody there.
For sure, man.
Awesome. Well, Tom, thank you again for taking some time to jump on here. It was lots of fun.
Yeah,
thank you.
Got to we pried some of those Maquette, the future Maquettes out of you.
The judge said I had to answer those questions.
Do any of the Maquettes have hair?
I would say it is safe to say that some of the Maquettes will have hair.
That's badass.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go, guys. Well, thank you, Tom, again for joining us. Like Tom said, obviously, go to the booth, go say hi to Tom, go say hi to the Regal Robot team. They're all going to be there. If you're going to be there, go pick up one of those Max Rebos. They will sell out. I mean, by whether they hold some, whether they don't, they are going to sell out. There's only 83 of them. They're going to sell out. But then if they do, obviously June 7th, right? June 7th, you'll be able to purchase it online. The limited
keep
edition.
Keep an eye on our website. We'll be updating people with what's coming out. And if you go to our website right now, you can sign up for the mailing list. We don't email a ton of spam out. It's like, once every once in a while, we'll put out an email only when there's really good stuff to share or coupons or things like that, which are rare. So just go to the website, add your email to our newsletter list, and we'll that's the best way to know what's coming. It's gonna, anytime we put something big or new up, you're gonna see it first that way.
There you go. And guys, don't forget, if you're there on Saturday, come say hi to us at the booth, or if you just see us walking around,
for sure.
Make sure to stop and say hi. But definitely try to swing by our panel on Saturday.
So cool.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, everybody, have a great night. Michael, always a pleasure hanging out with you on Saturdays. And Tom, again, thank you so much. And those things in the background, I mean, man, why do you do this to us, Tom? Why do you do this?
Well, I didn't want Michael to have the best collection behind him today, so I had to try something. I had to throw my A game out there.
Exactly.
Keeping it toned down.
Yeah.
You're awesome, Tom.
I don't know. Michael's too tough to compete with.
Come on now. I don't know what you're talking about. I look forward to seeing you soon, Tom.
Absolutely, guys. I can't wait. I'll see you in a week and a half. Everybody, have a great night. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tom. And we'll see you guys at Celebration. We'll see you guys next Saturday, too. But we'll also see you at Celebration.
Yeah, we got some really cool stuff.
All right. See you guys. Sorry.